Welcome to my channel. We're going to be listing our top 20 all-time movie selections today. We're ranking the best movies ever made for this list based on their box office performance, legendary stature, entertainment value, and critical acclaim. And action. Number 20. Mad Max, Fury Road, 2015. In the current blockbuster scene, viewers are accustomed to seeing films with a lot of computer graphics, convoluted storylines, and action that happens repeatedly. In contrast, Fury Road emphasizes actual effects and stunts, keeps the plot as straightforward as possible, and pays so much attention to detail in the action composition that some of the stills could be displayed in a museum. Fury Road takes the greatest elements from George Miller's earlier Mad Max movies and amplifies them, even if it isn't strictly a sequel or a reboot. The 2-hour-long, suspenseful road warrior chase is the greatest way to sum up the movie. That may sound very simple, but the film's powerful characters, creative production design, and intense directing raised the bar for the genre. You will lose your mind.
Yeah, well, I got unlucky.
Number 19. No Country for Old Men, 2007. The Coen brothers adapt this Cormac McCarthy novel with faithfulness, drawing on themes from their earlier movies. A merciless assassin targets a man who finds a huge amount of money after a cocaine deal goes wrong. We watch as this repetitive hitman goes after the money, smashing through everything that stands in his way. I can definitely touch you, even though you can't.
Money and the other party is out his product.
The Coen brothers skillfully crafted this Academy Award-winning tale of cat and mouse, which they later followed up with the as astounding but very different Inside Llewyn Davis. Number 18. Apocalypse Now, 1979. I adore my plum's aroma in the morning. Apocalypse Now, which stars movie icons like Martin Sheen, Robert Duvall, and Marlon Brando in the key parts, pulsates with scene after scene of horrifyingly and expertly staged death and destruction. The End of the World Now, Francis Ford Coppola's gritty Oscar-nominated war epic, Heart of Darkness, is based on Joseph Conrad's 1899 novella. It shifts the action of the novella from the Belgian Congo to Vietnam in the 1960s. The plot centers on a squad of soldiers entrusted with killing a rebel colonel. Fear has a face, and you have to learn to embrace it. Your companions are horror and moral fear. However, the outcome is more of a voyage into the shadows of the spirit than it is about the horrors endured during a war. Number 17. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. Expanding upon A Fistful of Dollars and for a Few Dollars More, Sergio Leone's film is widely regarded as the greatest epic Western ever produced. However, because of its stylized violence, this unquestionable masterpiece earned mixed reviews when it initially opened in theaters. In general, spaghetti westerns were not regarded as great art. But thanks to the all-encompassing cinematography of Tonino Dellicoli and the timeless musical soundtrack by Ennio Morricone, this underappreciated masterpiece gradually gained recognition and influenced a new generation of filmmakers. Despite the craft, what keeps us going back are the characters. One of the most unique film trios ever consists of Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef, and Eli Wallach. They bring out the best and worst in each other, of course.
The question.
Number 16. 12 Angry Men, 1957. 12 Angry Men, which is based on Reginald Rose's 1954 teleplay, is a masterwork of character development and dialogue. Rose's script is very interesting, but even on paper it doesn't seem very cinematic. After all, the jury room serves as the setting for most of the action.
Would you like me to tell you why?
This is when the outstanding directing of Sidney Lumet, the photography of Boris Kaufman, and the editing of Carl Lerner all come into play. With every second that goes by, you can feel the tension building around them. When the verdict is finally rendered, it feels as though we have just emerged from a sweatbox. Only an incredible cast and some of the best character actors of the time can elevate the picture.
Cut it. Ever since you walked in...
Number 15. There Will Be Blood, 2007. This drama, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, follows prospector Daniel Plainview as he creates his empire amid the oil boom in Southern California. Even if the character encounters a lot of roadblocks along the way, Daniel Day-Lewis's portrayal of the character's spiral into greed and insanity
Is a healer and a vessel for the Holy Spirit.
at the expense of all else is what makes it so compelling to watch. And for another incredibly suspenseful psychological drama, see Joaquin Phoenix in Anderson's 2012 film, The Master. Unwavering and ambitious, the role in Anderson's film contributed to Day-Lewis's second Oscar for Best Actor.
I'm a family man.
Number 14, The Wizard of Oz, 1939. This Technicolor classic, which tells the coming-of-age story of a young Kansas girl who dreams of a land somewhere over the rainbow, transcends age and time without relying on Frank Baum's universally attractive story as its main plot device.
We want to see the wizard!
Wizard was not a monetary success when it was first released, despite the fact that it is today regarded as one of the most iconic movies in Hollywood history. However, this movie is one that every parent should see with their kids because of its blend of classic music, humor, and a realistic moral.
Party's just beginning.
Number 13, The Shawshank Redemption, 1994. Why did you act in that way? Given that you asked, I didn't. Based on Stephen King's novella, The Shawshank Redemption tells the story of a man who is carted off to jail for the murder of his wife, but instead of being a story of despair and hopelessness, it's a story of fortitude, friendship, fidelity, and of course, redemption. Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman collaborated to bring this story to life in this Frank Darabont film, which did not become an immediate hit at the box office, but earned positive reviews, eventually became well known, and received 7 Academy Award nominations, securing its place in cinematic history.
Fair to say, I liked Andy from the start.
Number 12, Casablanca, 1942. Has any movie given us more iconic lines than Casablanca? From "Who's looking at you, kid?" to "What about us? We'll always have Paris." This film remains quotable even decades later because the characters are so identifiable. Even though the movie takes place during World War II, Humphrey Bogart's Rick is the main protagonist of the conflict.
Why did you come back to tell me why
Rick is conflicted about the sacrifice he needs to make in order to secure a brighter tomorrow, and his longing for the past when the lady he loves returns into his life. She walks into my gin establishment, out of all the gins in all the towns in all the world. The inherent connection between Bogart and Ilsa, played by Ingrid Bergman, makes you want them to have a happily ever after. But Casablanca ends its love story on a very positive note by focusing on what individuals need rather than what they want. Number 11, Singing in the Rain, 1952. Although Singing in the Rain was a hit movie when it first came out, critics and viewers didn't start to regard it as a genuine cinematic gem until years later. Many have commended its amazing dancing and music, especially Donald O'Connor's astounding performance of Make Him Laugh and Gene Kelly's legendary version of the title song. But occasionally, people forget that it's also a fantastic comedy. The picture deftly portrays the end of the silent period and the beginning of the talkies, setting in late 1920s Hollywood. Along the way, Jean Hagen, who is deservedly nominated for an Oscar, dominates every scene in which she plays Lena Lamont. This is one of those classic feel-good flicks that can brighten even the cloudiest days.
All right, here we go. Quiet!
Number 10, The Dark Knight, 2008. Christopher Nolan's second Batman film reinvented the genre and delighted both comic book enthusiasts and the broader public, proving that superhero movies don't have to be full of spandex and corny send-off lines. A man's life would be left up to fate, not precisely. The plot follows the caped crusader as he battles the notorious Joker, played by an electrifying Heath Ledger, in a film that is darker,
Here's my card.
more twisted, and more profound than the last chapter in the franchise, and as dark, twisted, and profound as Christopher Nolan's subsequent epic Inception. You won't kill me, because you think you're better than I am. Even though Ledger passed away before the movie came out, his effort earned him a posthumous Oscar, which adds a grim and realistic touch to Batman's tale. Number 9, Goodfellas, 1990. Although some could argue that Martin Scorsese's most significant work was Raging Bull, we have to give that honor to Goodfellas. What makes Goodfellas so captivating is the way movie portrays the glitz and vice of being a mobster. Similar to Karen, the wife of Henry Hill, we are aware that this way of life should disgust us.
It's great, but nice.
Part of us finds itself drawn to it. Of course, Tommy DeVito's Funny How exchange perfectly captures the essence of the movie. With a delicate balance between dark humor and genuine fear, the situation could quickly become unpleasant. Most of the sequences in this wild roller coaster fit this description as well, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats the entire time.
Carries on an old tradition.
Number 8. 2001. A Space Odyssey, 1968. For a generation that mainly believed science fiction was only for B-movies, Stanley Kubrick revolutionized the genre. There is a great deal to be said about this visually stunning and thought-provoking masterpiece, even though it doesn't have much speech. But 2001 is, in a nutshell, about evolution. There are basically 3 stages to the movie.
Something strange.
The first, which is centered on hominids finding the first tool, predates modern humankind. The second explores how our greatest technological achievements could also be our doom, taking place millions of years hence. The third discusses what is implied to be the next stage of evolution, but it is never made explicit. No matter how you read it, 2001 will always be a fascinating voyage into the uncharted.
For a single, very powerful.
Number 7. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2003. The Return of the King, the last installment in Peter Jackson's renowned trilogy that began in 2001, divides its epically long running time between Frodo's trip to Mount Doom to destroy the One Ring and Aragorn and his soldiers fighting Sauron's army. We get a heady mix of violent violence and complex storytelling,
We shall see the Shire again.
which has been hailed as one of cinema's greatest successes, thanks to these 2 overlapping plots. This film gives fans of J.R.R. Tolkien's enthralling and renowned literature something to yell about, as it closely resembles the novel. The Academy was likewise won over, bestowing a record-tying 11 Oscars upon the film. Number 6. Pulp Fiction, 1994. Is the film propelled by its exceptional performances? Indeed. Is its tremendous violence what motivates it? Naturally. However, the clever, intelligent, and heavily referenced pop culture dialogue in Quentin Tarantino's Oscar-winning Pulp Fiction is what really makes the film work.
You got a corpse in a car, minus the head in the garage.
An intricately detailed cast of colorful individuals is followed in a non-linear plot. You will laugh at yourself because of such dark comedy. Pulp Fiction offers everything you need to make you watch movie repeatedly, including a soundtrack that perfectly conveys the mood and sound snippets you'll be quoting for years.
What?
Uncomfortable silences.
Number 5. Schindler's List, 1993. The goal of Steven Spielberg's filming of this historical drama was to approach it like a documentary. The end product might be the most terrifying and realistic portrayal of Nazi Germany ever captured on camera. Schindler's List serves as an example of how black and white filmmaking may have a more genuine feel than color. I believe you to be crazy. It reduces humanity to its most basic elements, enabling us to recognize the evil that many choose to ignore in the world. When color does, for a little moment, penetrate the scene, it offers a sense of hope, as well as an overwhelming sense of remorse. In addition to serving as a memorial of the lives lost, Schindler's List also shows how one person can have a positive impact. It's strange, because of what you did. You have no clue if I will provide generations. Spielberg would eventually win the Oscars for Best Picture and Best Director thanks to the movie. Number 4. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. With you, the Force is powerful. The Skywalker son ought not to turn Jedi. The second installment of George Lucas's Star Wars trilogy is far darker and more tragic than the first, which was an entertaining space adventure. Luke resists the hatred. That brings up the negative side. Vader is strong. Keep in mind what you've discovered. Save you once more. Yes, I will. Empire, which is regarded by many as the best of the 3 original movies, is a timeless tale that appeals to all ages, in addition to being a visual feast with lavish and costly effects. Well, aside from lightsabers, strange creatures, and far-off planets. You killed him, he told me. No, your father is me. That is untrue. No, that isn't feasible. Innovative and creative, this chapter in the life of Luke Skywalker and friends is epic filmmaking at its finest.
I know where Luke is.
What about those spiders?
Number 3. Psycho, 1960. Dirty evening. Are you hiring right now? No, there are 12 openings. 12 cottages available for use. With its several cuts, multiple viewpoints, and subtly suggestive violence and nudity, Alfred Hitchcock's shower incident is one of his most iconic and important sequences. Reducing the remaining portions of Psycho would be disastrous. Hitchcock's masterpiece is this suspenseful film. Despite the film's initial lack of consensus among critics, Psycho went on to receive 4 Oscar nominations. I mean, you wouldn't be made fun of? I'm not a fool, though. Why? Furthermore, I cannot be duped. Not even by a woman either. Everyone who witnessed the film was taken aback by how this film defied expectations of acceptable on-screen violence and sexuality. But even if you know the secrets of Psycho, it is as terrifying as ever.
Is anything wrong?
Number 2. Citizen Kane, 1941. It's amazing how an inexperienced filmmaker managed to put together what is presently regarded as one of the best movies ever made. But Orson Welles achieved precisely that with Citizen Kane. Is that truly how you think a newspaper should be run? Mr. Thatcher, I have no idea how to manage a newspaper. I simply give everything a shot. This film, which primarily uses flashbacks to portray the life narrative of a wealthy media magnate, was co-written, directed, produced, and starred by Welles.
Oops. Everett Sloan, ladies and gentlemen. He isn't that.
There will be multiple lessons for you. Gettys, don't worry about me. I'm not concerned. Harry Forster Kane is who I am. Welles used cutting-edge storytelling and cinematic techniques to craft his Oscar-winning masterwork, which is a multi-layered picture that will appeal to filmmakers and mainstream audiences alike. Remarkably, after its publication, people largely forgot about it until the 1950s, when an update brought everyone back to reality. I'm sure everything would have made sense if you had known what the blossom represented. No, I don't believe that. Mr. Kane was a man who achieved his dreams and then let them go. Perhaps Rosebud represented something he lost, or was unable to have.
Do you know anything we could use against them?
Still the college boy.
Here are some honorable mentions before we reveal our top choice. Back to the Future, a time-traveling adventure featuring humor, romance, action, and everything. What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour. The Social Network. Who would have thought that a Facebook movie would be so exciting? Not cool to have $1 million. Know what's awesome? You. $1 billion US. That made everyone stop talking.
Your actions could have permanently destroyed.
On the Waterfront, still in the running. I had placed some wagers on you. You noticed some cash. You're not understanding. I was able to attend class. I might have been a candidate. I could have been a famous person.
The fattest beers in the fattest harbor in the world.
12 years a slave. An insightful and harsh look into a troubled past. To Master Shaw's plantation, I went. You acknowledge it. Indeed, without restriction. Do you know why, too? I got this from Mistress Shaw. Mistress Shaw won't even grab me no soap to clean with. I stink so much I make myself gag.
You come here.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. A memorable encounter. We certainly hope so. This was something we scheduled. Yes, indeed. God, oh God. I have no idea where we are headed. Yes, it will be enjoyable. Come on. It's the best place known this way.
She's there with
Parasite. We grasped our armrests, gasped, laughed, and are still thinking about it. Dasam was eating a cake when I leaped out of the cake, and she was licking the bubbles and turning her eyes back in this manner. I was seated in front of this. Before we go any further, don't forget to hit the bell to receive updates on our most recent videos, and to subscribe to our channel. You can choose to receive notifications for every video, or only the rare ones. Make sure you turn on notifications in your phone's settings while using it. Number 1. The Godfather, 1972. My affection is for you, Fredo, my elder brother. But never again will you stand with anyone against the family. At all. The Oscar-winning film Godfather, which sheds light on the mafia world like few other movies have done before or since, follows the Corleone family as Don Vito passes the family business reins to his son Michael. Francis Ford Coppola creates a world in both this and its 1974 follow-up that makes it possible for us to sympathize with and even identify with men who are essentially villains. Superb performances by icons such as Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Robert Duvall elevate the film's nuanced narrative and graphic violence, making The Godfather an all-time great. Do you agree with our selections? See this other recent video from the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe to receive updates on our newest videos.